Directing for commercials is a lot different than directing for film. So, like for my movies, like 12 km is a movie that's completely in the Russian language. So it's completely in Russian. I don't speak Russian. It was a very dangerous decision to make. It made my life a lot more difficult, but I was financing it and I was the boss. So I was like, yeah, let's make it in Russian, because why not? But when you're doing commercials and stuff, it's a little bit different because you have to answer to so many different folks. Like you have, as you know, you have your clients, and your clients are just like, how much money am I spending on this thing? And then they get nervous over every step. And so then you have to clear everything. You have to clear, like, this is what the kid looks like, and this is what the clothes look like. And then you start to have like these seemingly ridiculous phone conferences, you know, where the people are like, really, should it be that color blue, or maybe it should be a little bit of green? And then I think it's because you're involving a lot of folks in a filmmaking and storytelling process that themselves aren't storytellers. And it's not a detrimental thing to say. It's just that they're not trained to be. And with commercials, you know, those people are like, look, I got a warehouse full of this shit. We got to sell it, you know? And so let's get that done. And then you and I get involved with it, and we're storytellers. And in the beginning, when I first was a young director doing commercials, I was very much like, oh, they wanted to hire me because of the way I tell stories, and they want to have my voice in this commercial. And it was a very short-sighted way.
I'm laughing because it's the exact same thought. Like I'm relating to so much of what you're saying. It's funny.
Yes. And it's a very short-sighted thing where you're sitting there, like, it's like they're paying me to make a film or something. And you're like, well, no, it took me years to sort of come to the realization where it's like, this guy's got a warehouse full of shit and I got to help him sell it. And that's kind of what I'm doing here. And so with directing commercials, as a director, I realized that it's a whole different craft. And if you're going to hire me, if you're hiring me as a creative from a creative agency or even a production company, you're hiring me because I have had that experience on how to slow the scenes down and how to find these moments and how to do that stuff. And then as a director, I had to learn that my job isn't necessarily being the guy that comes up with these great ideas, isn't the guy that's telling these stories, because you guys have already done all that hard work. Half the time when I show up as a director, the boards are already done. Like the commercial's pretty much cut together, you know?
Yeah, people don't realize how far along a project is when you're doing commercial filmmaking, how far along a commercial is before you get involved. It's stunning. And then it's weird because you're put in a position sometimes where, especially if you haven't been around that long, where you are now looking at an ad agency who has spent weeks putting this together, and you see something that you don't like or you would change, and you're like, should I suggest my changes? And sometimes it's like, you might not want to do that. You might just want to make it the way that it is. It's weird. It's not that it's not creative, but it's collaborative, but in a different way. Like, it's collaborative, but you're not involved from the beginning. And that's something that I think a lot of commercial directors need to realize.
Yeah, dude. And it really comes down to the true definition of what a director is. And this took so long for me to because I've been doing this for 18, 19 years now. So this took me so long to realize that directing is a social job, first and foremost. And this is something that they don't teach you this in school. So you don't go to school and they're like, let me teach you, Mr. Awkward. I have to prove to my dad that I'm special, how to interact with other human beings. In school, they teach you, like, this is, if you're lucky, this is how you can cut these two images together, and this is what this means, you know? Yeah. So then you got to go through the process of realizing that as an artist, every one of my paintbrushes has a boyfriend at home, has kids at home, has money problems, has real life shit, like came to walk to work and fell down the stairs and broke their ankle, and now you have to figure out how to put them in a wheelchair to do their shit. Like, your brushes are humans. And then you're then dealing with casting these humans. You're dealing with putting together your kit of brushes that you can rely on. And the same thing goes when you're working for commercial clients. Once you have the ability to get that bird's eye view, and that's kind of what a director does. Like, good director will sit there and go from the micro to the wide shot and just stand over the top of it and look around. And when you're in these meetings and you're seeing how these creatives are interacting with the clients, you know that everybody in that room, especially if you've worked with these people before, they're talented. They're talented and they're storytellers. And not only are they good storytellers, but they also understand how to tell a story about a product that people are going to want to purchase. And that's ultimately what you're doing, like I said. So if you can look around that room and read the room, and you generally can read the faces of the poor creatives that have been interacting with, like Joe Hick, who sells steaks, you know what I mean? And he's just like, get these things out. And they were like, well, wouldn't it be great if we told a story about like how a girl feels and that? And he's like, I don't care. You know what I mean? And so these poor people have been beaten down. And when I come into rooms like that as a director, I sort of look around and I go, okay, you guys have already been through the shit, so maybe I shouldn't suggest the same thing that everybody is thinking in here, because maybe they've already been through this argument like 100 times. You know what I mean? But that being said, I think the skill in being a director is that you have to be a teacher, I think, and you have to be an inspiration. And then you have to be a safety blanket for these people. So like, if you're writing stuff on paper, it's all in theory. And then, the next thing you know, you get to set, the actor's not doing what you guys want, or you haven't found that magic. How many times do clients go like, there just needs to be a little bit more magic. And I don't know what that magic is. And you're like, well, that description is magical. You know what I mean? I don't know what that is either. But I think what that magic really is finding the accidental wow on set. And I think that just takes time and experience to understand where that wow comes and how that wow fits back into the plan. And so I think that's what being a commercial director is. Much different than being a filmmaker.